So you mentioned statutes. Is there a set of statutes and regulations involved with regards to elder abuse as it pertains to what your office does?
Well, any crime that can happen to anyone of any age applies obviously to seniors as well.
Okay.
So the special statutes deal more with the sentencing of those crimes. For example, let's say that someone assaults a person 60 and over. If that person was 59 years old, that person would be eligible for probation. If that person's 60 years old, then that person would automatically go to prison. So it's the same crime, but because the status of the victim being 60 years of age or older is different, then it's a more harsh penalty, you can say.
Well, you know, the age cutoff is an interesting point, but however, there are people who are less than 60 years old who may have some of the same problems and issues that are involved with regards to vulnerability.
And you're absolutely right, and we don't, our office does not ignore those victims, it's just that they would not come to the elder abuse unit.
I see, okay. All right, so let's go back a little bit and talk about the scope and the scale of the problem. And can you describe for our audience, what is the scope? Is it physical, emotional, financial, and perhaps provide some examples?
To answer your question, yes. Unfortunately, it's all of those examples there. When we first started the unit in 2008, one of the first crimes that we handled was there was a series of home invasions happening in the Kahala Diamond Head area. A group of 3 individuals were going around to the homes, breaking into them in broad daylight. Because of our unit, we're able to instantly arrest them as opposed to them being arrested and then released as per regular procedure. And so because of our instant arrest, rapid response procedures that we have set up now, they were automatically arrested, stayed in jail, and now they're off the streets. That's property crimes. We've had violent crimes. We've had anything from murders to assaults. Unfortunately, we've had some homeless individuals that are in their senior years living on the street, and they're prime victims. They don't have
homeless themselves.
Yes, the homeless themselves, because they're there without the protection of a home. They're sleeping on the streets, and we've had them basically murdered on our streets there.
Wow.
We've had sex assaults, unfortunately, occurring in care homes of all places, where you'd have someone that was not only a senior, but perhaps mentally incompetent, whether it be from Alzheimer's or some form of dementia, and then you'd have a healthcare worker walking in and seeing another patient sexually abusing them or another caregiver sexually abusing them. And then we have financial crimes, ranging anywhere from people stealing the person's identity, like whether it be a checkbook, going into a bank, pretending to be the senior, to, unfortunately, adult children deceiving their parents. And we're talking about adult children stealing from their parents hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've had cases where we've had adult children steal the home from the parent through deception, through having the parent sign paperwork that they deceived the parent into thinking of something else. So we handle all those types of crimes there. When I first started the unit in 2008, my prior experience, as you articulated before, was in domestic violence. So I was more used to handling the more violent crimes there. When the unit was created in 2008, it opened up the whole door to all the financial crimes going on here. And I myself had to become a student. That's why I've developed networking with the police department's financial crime unit, with the University of Hawaii's Elder Law Clinic, with Adult Protective Services, because not one agency can handle this because the crimes happen in their various forms all over the island. So you need to build up a network, which we're still trying to establish, actually.
You mentioned 2 things, which is probably a good time to talk about with regards to networking. You mentioned the kind of a partnership. Perhaps you can just give our audience a briefing on what is happening with the Hawaii Partnership Against Fraud. And then the second thing is Adult Protective Services and how how you interface with those groups
Okay.
if you do.
Yes, we were invited by Ed Pay, who is the leader of this campaign, the Bankers Association campaign, to raise awareness. And perhaps you've seen our commercials, Is This For Real? We've been on the radio a lot, radio spots, and on television spots, again, raising awareness. Now, this partnership not only involves the Bankers Association in our office, but involves various other government agencies as well as private and nonprofit agencies. AARP is a member of this coalition.
Oh, really?
As well as the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, who primarily do like investment frauds, licensing, all that. We have HPD, I don't know if I mentioned them already, Adult Protective Services. So basically all agencies that handle senior issues were invited by Ed Pay and the Bankers Association to join and to basically take these ideas that through our own experiences and make a campaign to help raise awareness. Now, not only have you seen the television spots and heard the radio spots, but also we do presentations as well. And so it's called the Is This For Real presentation.
Yeah.
We've been going around the island giving those free presentations to any group that wants to invite us. And so that's been a good collaboration with not only just one agency, but multiple agencies contributing to certain solutions on elder abuse. And that handles primarily the financial crimes.
The financial crimes,
Right.
okay.
Now, with respect to Adult Protective Services, right now we've been working, actually we've worked at the very beginning, meeting with them on a regular basis. Now, we don't handle a lot of their cases for the primary reason that a lot of them deal with vulnerable adults that are not so much in a criminal situation, but are the victim of their either self-neglect or a improperly trained caregiver. To where if, let's say, hypothetically, something bad were to happen to a person and their own child would have to instantly become a caregiver, but were never trained to become a caregiver, and the person suffers pressure sores or has a stroke because of improper nutrition, we're not going to criminalize somebody that didn't know better.
Okay.
And that's one thing that, I mean, you can say that we see the gray in things, because in our office, usually people say, oh, the prosecutor's office is very black and white. We're not. We realize that being a caregiver is a huge responsibility, and you have to have specialized training. And that's why one of the reasons that our office does speak to different caregiver organizations and has participated in some of the caregiver support groups around the island to again educate people and say, you know what, there's such a thing as caregiver stress, and if you feel yourself being stressed, we want you to get help. We want you to get education, but also maybe a brief break from being a caregiver, so that way you don't do anything you'll regret later on. And so that's part of the whole prevention message we're going to.